Excellente. Okay, so, all right, Gary, you're up.
Okay, so I am Gary Sobel. I am the Market Center Administrator at KW Boston Metro West. We are about 40 minutes west of Boston. And I have been with Keller Williams 10 years. I have been an agent first before becoming an MCA. So I was an agent for about 8 years. I am from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, moved to Charlotte where I joined KW and I changed careers. Before being in real estate, I was an international court reporter. So most people don't know what that is. I'm the stenographer in the courtrooms, but I traveled around the world doing depositions for 23 years. I'm much older than I look. Hated it because it was always a negative reason for me to be hired. People didn't believe each other. They were lying, so they had to have things written down. So I needed to take the shift to something a little bit more positive. And I purchased a few homes before, and I thought, oh, this is gonna be a fun, easy job. I can do that. 10 years later, I do love the company and I do love the career and I love the challenges that it has. So I absolutely love it. So I'm here to train.
I love it. A stenographer. Wow, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, so when my kids like tell me something, they better be accurate because I will remember word for word what they said.
Mhm. I
And I
mean,
throw it
as
right
a
back.
side note, my ex-husband used to say the same thing. He used to say, "You should be a stenographer. You remember every single detail that I can't even remember it." So, that is a skill set. So, again, my name is Jamie Camerata. For those of you who are just joining us, thank you for participating today. You have joined Capturing Leads with Open Houses. I'm really excited to bring this one to you. I've been in the real estate industry since 2009. Before that, I was a school teacher and natural progression being a school teacher into a real estate agent. We come from contribution and we want to help people. And so throughout the process, my first opportunities were open houses. So I didn't have any business, and we're going to be talking about that. And after I went through a training, I had the opportunity to what we used to call host open houses, which I don't use that term. You want to host something, please host brunch. You are going to work in open house, and we will talk about that. And working open houses are natural and easier because you already have somebody in front of you who's potentially looking to buy something and maybe sell something. It's already a warm lead. So I'm really excited today. I'm in the Andover Market Center. I did put my contact information excuse me, in the chat. And Teresa, thank you for copy and pasting as everybody is saying good morning. We want everybody participating at a high level. The one thing that I'm going to say about Zoom is it's hard to create the energy that you would have in a classroom on Zoom. So we're going to do the best as possible being able to create that. And with participation, I would love for you to raise your hand, say in the chat that you'd like to say something. Teresa's going to be moderating the chat so that everybody can be heard. But this is an interactive piece. I personally really want you to leave here so excited about open houses that you're sending an email this afternoon to your office roster saying, I'm available Saturday and Sunday between 11 and 4. This is my contact information. This is my email. This is my cell phone number. I would love the opportunity to work one of your open houses for your listings. That's how motivated you are. So any questions, please just feel free to jump in. I'm really excited. Turn your cameras on if you can, and if it's safe to do so. Again, we'd like to see, I only get to see 4 or 5 of you, unfortunately, because I'm over here reading and doing this, but everybody else would love to see you. So any questions so far? We're wicked excited. Tiffany's coming into the room, so I'm also going to let her introduce herself because she's fantastic as well once we get started. So we've been going through Ignite now through 7 sessions. I'd love the opportunity to hear some of your ahas or things that you have learned so far through this process. So I'd like to take 2 of you to just go ahead and raise your hand or take yourself off mute and just give me a quick feedback, 2 people, so that we can jump into today's Capturing Leads with Open Houses. And not all at once. I know. We're super excited here at 9:07 a.m. We do this thing, Gary, round robin, where if I just see a name, I just call them out.
I was about to say, you could play roulette and just kind of have your cursor go around and around and around and see who comes up. Oh, David, we have David, the school teacher, David.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So what's the deal? So excellent going over these steps, step by step. I've been licensed, I guess, technically since September 1st. So, really just getting started, joining my wife, who's 8 years in, and I still feel like I'm just that brand new person, like just trying to learn these things. So it's outstanding information. I actually took my first step and did step 0 yesterday, watching the command on the 66 days. So I'm committed to crushing that. Quick question. Do you know if it looks like there's 66 days to command, but there's also sort of a purple 66 days to marketing. It's also still him, this guy, Marty. And it seems like it's obviously using command.
Yep.
Are those two different things? Is it a more updated version?
Not necessarily is it updated. I think that there's different brands. So you do have Marty Miller, you do have Scott Leroy Marketing. So there are different third parties that have put together these 66-day challenges for you to mainstream, and I will streamline all of the trainings that way. But David, towards the end, why don't we, I share contact information, and I'll send you a few of the active Google Sheets that I have that will take you through a couple of those processes that I think that you're looking for.
Okay, perfect.
Excellent.
Great.
David,
So much.
thank you for sharing.
Of course, thank you.
All right, so that was a positive. I love it. Have we had any challenges thus far with the first 7 sessions? Is there a challenge or two that we have had that we can address to help you move forward as we open our minds for session 7 today? Excellent. I'm okay with moving on from that. No challenges. Let's go to the next slide. Exactly. Okay, so we are going to talk about generating your leads, knowing your database, capturing the leads. And then the cool thing is this week, you're going to take what we learned today about open houses. And as the week goes on, you're going to learn how to utilize capturing leads through social media and some of the technology that's integrated here within KW to help you through this process. So by the end of the session, you'll be able to describe the benefits of holding an open house, identify the best practices for holding an open house, and being prepared to hold an open house. Now, I don't really love the word hold, and I'm going to go through this right at the beginning while we have 48 people on here. I'd like for everyone, and I catch myself too, the word host an open house versus work an open house is a very different mindset. And I know that I fooled around at the beginning and I said, if you want to host something, host a birthday party, host brunch. But that's what it is. When you work an open house, you are coming prepared, purposeful. You are, and again, we're going to talk about prepare, prospect, and pursue, but you're ready to work this open house as if you're going to sell it, or at least pick up leads that don't want this particular open house, that have the ability for them to hire you, for you to go find them their forever home. And so it's really important. All the word choice that we talk about is when you're getting ready to do this, I want you to get into that mindset about like, we're going to be working through it, not hosting it. All right. Just move this here. So nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have. So why do we begin the session on open houses with this quote?
I know.
You can do it. Unmute yourself. You don't even have to show your video, I guess, at that point.
Leads. If you do an open house, you get leads or potential for them.
Yeah, your number one job, 1000%, is to gain leads. What other things can you do with open houses? It really helps you as a real estate agent with that hat on from the other point of view, because when you were going into open houses before, you were a buyer or you were checking out a property. It's you being able to understand, why did this real estate agent, if it's not your own open house, price this property the way that it is? Expose you to new pricing strategies, neighborhoods, things like that. But your number one job is to gain leads from an open house. So this is one way to impact the number of leads that you have. So why hold the open house, and what is the purpose or the goal of the open house? So not just your number one job is to gain leads, but why work an open house, and what's the purpose or the goal of an open house?
The individuals coming to the open houses are potentially looking to get into a house. So if you're working an open house, you could work with, or you could find a lot of new prospects or potential leads to work with in the future.
Perfect. So capturing leads and to sell the house.
Specifically to meet somebody who's not represented.
Okay, so it's an opportunity to meet someone that's not represented by a current real estate agent. And when he says represented, we mean with an exclusive buyer contract. So they haven't been hired, and a real estate agent hasn't locked them up into a contract. A lot of people, by the way, go out to open houses and they're not locked in a contract with their real estate agent. They're too nervous to do that. That agent hasn't had that conversation with them yet. And so you might be the personality or the fit or the communication might be the right style for them, for you to actually be considered to be hired. Melissa.
Yes, I was just going to share, doing open houses also helps you familiarize yourself with the market, but also you get feedback from people who are visiting, whether they're agents or actual buyers or potential buyers. And so I know when I started, I put in our agents Facebook group that I was looking to come and stalk some agents in their open house. And I wanted to be the annoying little sister to ask all these questions of like, why do you do this? And how is this done? And on Saturday, I went to one agent. She actually had 2 properties that she was hosting or working on the same street. And the very next day, which was on a Sunday, I was able to step in and help agent with their open house. I had never done it before. I'm like 3 days in. And he called me and he said, how did it go? And I was like, I think it went great. I took a crash course yesterday with Elizabeth. And he's like, that's awesome. How long have you been doing this? And I was like, today's day number 3. And he was like, oh my gosh, talk about jumping into the fire. But I love doing open houses. And I think in just the last 2 months, I pretty much have consistently done open houses. I've learned so much.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. I love doing open houses.
It's a great opportunity for those of you that don't have, quote, all the answers that you're waiting for, which we talked about last Thursday. It's an opportunity for you to become more confident and comfortable in real estate, just in general. It's people skills, like you just said. So thank you for sharing. You know, you're just talking with people, asking them questions. How's your day? What brought you to the open house? What are you looking for? Do you have anything to sell? Can I be of help? Do you have any questions? If you don't know the answers, let me find them out for you. So that people connection and those people skills and reminding yourself to just ask as many questions as possible also exposes you to purposeful conversations in order for you to capture those leads. So thank you very much. So as a new agent, open houses, as I said, they're easy, fun, and it's a low cost way to find buyers. 0 cost. It costs your time. That's why I said stop hosting and work. It's costing you your time, but it's one of the easiest ways to potentially collect leads. So your goal in holding an open house is not only to sell the home, but it's to put yourself in the path of opportunity, the business opportunity to meet people, add to your database, set appointments with interested buyers and potential clients. So for many agents, holding an open house is their number one strategy to build a strong business. So as we go on, we always begin with, in day one, you were introduced to the 6 perspectives, specifically removing your limiting beliefs, which is very hard for all of us to do in anything, by the way. So if that's hard for you, you're in normal company. Limiting beliefs always get into our head, and we feel as though that we have to know everything about everything before we go ahead and get ready to get ready to get ready. And you don't. You need to throw yourself out there and just be human, ask great questions. But you might be having some limiting beliefs about open houses. So does anyone have any current limiting beliefs about holding and working open houses that might be different than the ones here on the slides? Is anyone a little nervous? Okay, so I don't have a listing to hold an open house. I don't have signs yet. I may not know the answers to questions visitors have. And open houses don't really work because most people look online and I won't feel safe. So let's talk about these. So I don't have a listing to hold an open house. I'm okay with that. You are associated with a market center that has 100+ agents. And out of those 100+ agents, I challenge you to either run a report if you know how, talk to your productivity coach, assistant team leader, MCA, and just ask a question like, who are the top 5 or 10 agents who list properties continuously in our market center? Great question. And you're going to reach out to those agents and let them know that you're not a secret agent and that you're available and able and willing to hold an open house for them. And we're going to talk about that. I don't have signs yet. That's okay. If you're doing an open house for another agent, they typically should give you the signs that you need to place in the strategic locations to properly direct people to the open house. If they don't give you signs, please ask them. And sometimes market centers have a small library of signs that you can borrow from them. I may not know the answers to questions visitors have. That's okay. Who has the answer to everything besides my mother? No one.
Well, we're not to everything, but if you're ghosting, isn't it the listing agent? You know, that's a great opportunity. You know what? Let me find out and get back to you. That's a contact.
Yes, yes. If there's a limiting belief, number one, that I can help you with, you don't need to always know the answer. So think about this on the receiving side. If you're looking for an answer, do you want someone to give you, a non-truthful answer about something? No, I would rather you own it and say, you know what, Brandon, that's a great question. Let me find out from the sellers and I'll get back to you. Let me ask you, is this the right phone number for you? Is this the right email for you? Great. So now you went right into solution mode and said, I don't have it right now, but I'm going to get it to you because it should really be coming from the seller anyway, because I don't know the answer to that. Or it's coming from your list agent that you're representing at the time while you're holding the open house. Does that make sense? Never play attorney. Never think that you know everything. And I would rather you wait before you misspeak. So if you don't know, because you didn't do your preparing, that it is well water or it's on septic or whatever it is, then don't answer that question. Be confident and say, you know what, that is a great question. I'm going to start a question sheet. Give me every question that you have. I'll answer the ones that I can answer right now with respect to my role. And I will get back to you about the other ones. Gary, how many times did we always want at open houses to just answer certain ones because we wanted to look good and be right?
Right? You want to show your value, but actually your value is finding the correct answer instead of just speaking off the cuff. And I'm not sure who it was that said, yeah, was it Ellen? Let me find that. It's a great question. Let me find out the answer. And then 1+ it by making sure you call them that evening. So you're making contact, you're showing them your value, your professionalism, and you're giving them the correct answer. And then you wind up having a nice little conversation outside of the open house, so you're starting to build rapport with them. But if I can go back up, I'm sorry, if I can jump up back to where we were with, I don't have a listing to hold open.
Sure.
I find the most successful way, and everybody should become familiar enough with MLS to know how to find your office's listings. It's very simple. It's just a couple of clicks. Look at the listings that you guys have in your office and call an agent specifically and say, hey, Stephen, I see you have a listing at 123 Main Street in Westboro. Can I hold that house open for you this weekend? Can you ask your client? And you're more likely to get an affirmative response as opposed to putting it into Facebook, hey, I'm available. That's great for the population if somebody needs it at the last minute, but you want to set yourself up for success and you don't want it to be necessarily the last minute. So look for a listing within your office in a neighborhood that you might be comfortable with, so a neighborhood that you might know something about, and be more specific with your time and go specifically to that one agent and say, can I hold this house open for you this weekend?
Yeah, no, Gary, you're 100% right. No one is thinking about you. No one in their office who has a bunch of listings is like, oh, I wonder what Melissa's doing today. You know, I wonder what Ellen's doing today. They might not even know that you have the opportunity or the time to be able to give to open houses. And that's why, like Gary said, once you put that email out to your office and say, I'm available, and you raise your hand, that's one way for people to instant gratification, be like, oh, you know what? Great. I want to go to the Pats game. Brandon, great. Can you do that for me? Number one. But number two, if you don't know how to run those reports, again, your MCA, productivity coach, MCTT can show you through MLS to see who still has active listings in your office. And what better way for prospecting skills is to call somebody in your office and introduce yourself and say, listen, I'd love the opportunity to work one of your open houses this weekend. I have to say, as when I was a real estate agent, nobody called me when I had all those listings, Gary. That would have been really nice if I got a phone call from somebody, because if your style and your approach matched my style and approach of my branding, then you might be the person that I'm always like, I'm always going to go to Gary because Gary wants it. He's raising his hand. Okay. So, and thank you. So, open houses don't work. Actually, they do. There's only so much you can do online. Okay. And online, as you know, with all the social media and things like that, sometimes what's there isn't really, what is happening, right? So you can have a beautiful house, and yet because we didn't do the research, maybe it's next to a graveyard or a 7-Eleven or on a main road or at the dead end of a cul-de-sac, but there's a ton of water behind it. And so people need to actually go to the dwelling, to walk through it, to experience it, to feel it, to get a sense of the neighborhood. So open houses really actually do work. And I won't feel safe. Well, I really do hope that you feel safe, but we do talk about safety in our market center with classes. Sometimes you can buddy up with someone. So when it's slow, it's always great to talk to someone. Inclement weather, sometimes it's great to have somebody there. But also accountability partners or shadowing a top agent that does open houses and having that opportunity to see how they work it versus maybe your style on how you would work it would really help you. With safety, we're going to get into some deeper conversations about how to really be safe at an open house and really, what to do at that point. So sorry about that. I hit the space bar and it just jumped to all these slides. Okay. So we're going to refer to the participation guide. I said this on Thursday. If you haven't downloaded the student participation guide, please do so. Please do this. Otherwise, have pen and paper ready. It's the only way that you're really going to implement and take away some of these things. And we've made our company has a great participation guide that takes you through the process so that you can make these notes. So, should every open house be held open? Under what circumstances would you not recommending holding an open house? So are there any circumstances that you can think of as to why someone wouldn't?
House might not be safe.
Okay, that's a great one. It's really not safe, and maybe it's a quote tear down or a rehab, and we want to be respectful if somebody is still living there, by the way. Or maybe somebody is not, and we don't want to steer people in the wrong direction, so it might not be safe. Okay, Ariel?
Well, we just went through a pandemic, and that was like during that time, it was pretty, open houses were like not happening. People didn't want people in and out of their houses. Because sometimes open houses, especially in like not the market that we're necessarily in right now, but the most recent market, as in like last winter and like earlier in the spring. Like
Yeah,
open houses attracted like sometimes upwards of 70 people. Like the lines of cars were all the way down the street, and people didn't necessarily want all that foot traffic in their house. So
Yeah.
they chose to do by private appointment only.
exactly. Too much traffic and COVID regulations. That definitely threw a wrench into things. Bruce?
Yeah, if your sellers are having a feud with their neighbors, we had an open house on Saturday where it was just horrible. They came and parked their boat in the front yard because they technically owned a piece of the front yard.
Okay, so as long as you are having conversations with your seller and your seller is making these decisions as to, I don't really want open house because I want my privacy. I want, one-to-one showings. I'd like to do showings from this time to this time because, my neighbors are a little nosy or loud or things like that. That stuff, and Bruce, I would be okay with. Some sellers are not agreeable to decluttering, cleaning up, sanitizing, and so the house doesn't show well. So you see that many times with maybe, a single family, a condo, but when there's a rental property or multi-families. Ellen?
Yeah, I actually wanted to kind of comment on Bruce. So it made me think, maybe the neighbor was jealous. When you did your open house, did you talk to the neighbors, let them know, hey, we're doing an open house? Maybe you wanted his household too, or her.
Ellen's coming in for all the leads.
I'm just saying, to me, it was like a good segue to say, I can represent you too. It's equal opportunity here. And maybe, I don't know. Just wonder, do you talk to the neighbors and as well, the seller, of course, but do you talk directly to the neighbors, let them know what you're doing, invite them?
Can I jump in there for that one?
Yes, Gary.
So one of the best things I find, and I did about 50 a year because that's how I got all my leads, was through open houses.
Mhm.
So I typically would introduce myself to the neighbors, give them my card, and become their quote unquote friend. Like, hey, if there's anything going on that you think I need to know about, here's my card. And this way, it wasn't like me against them. It was like, hey, we're working to get you a better neighbor. We're working together. Anything I can do for you, let me know. We're doing an open house this weekend. I'm going to try to keep people off of your lawn. If anybody's, bothering you, here's my cell phone number. And that really kind of sets a nice little tone between the difficult neighbors. And, you don't have to be afraid of the neighbors because that should be part of your prep for your open house. The neighbors should all know that you're having an open house because they might want to bring one of their friends in to be their neighbor.
Yeah, we're gonna dive deep into this too about the proper ways to maybe do invite your neighbors an hour before and then have an actual open house. Another thing that we really haven't talked about is the market. And so when it's not necessary to sometimes have an open house is when it's a seller's market and there's about 30 to 40 offers at the same time coming in. So sometimes a seller will feel, I don't really need an open house. Let's just have on Friday scheduled appointments and let's get all those offers in. It's a conversation that you're having with the seller, and your job is to educate the seller to maximize the exposure other than online for people to want to purchase their property, write an offer and get it closed. Okay. So these are great. All right, so today's agenda, capturing leads. We're going to move on to the next one. All right, open houses, who benefits? So there's two main goals for open houses, to sell the house and to generate leads. So who does the open house really benefit? Trick question. Who's on their A game today?
Both the agent, whoever hosts the open house, the agent and the seller.
Okay. So for the seller, how does it benefit them?
You're gonna sell your house, or you might sell your house, or you might get offers, or like it exposure. It gets your house into the market and ready for people to be able to put in those offers. And other agents, sometimes I've had like open houses where agents come unaccompanied just to see, because they saw the house online and they like might have a client who wasn't able to make it and therefore can give them that information. And then I've done that a couple times, and then book a private appointment later in the day or later in the weekend if the house hasn't already gotten 15 offers in the first 5 minutes of the open house.
I love the word high exposure. Exactly. It's high exposure to show the house to lots of potential buyers all at the same time, right? And so, yes, is it in a market where if they've hired you in an exclusive buyer contract to be their buyer, and you're doing your due diligence and you've gone over their wants and needs, and you've done a needs analysis with your buyers, and their time is precious, do you pre-qualify a home, like you said, by going to an open house to see if it even fits the needs of the buyer? Yes. Wants are one thing, but the needs. Then schedule the one-to-one appointment to show the property. The other thing that you mentioned, Ariel, which I love, is just other agents going to open houses. Again, I encourage you, even if you don't have any buyers right now, to just say, drop your business card, introduce yourself. Hey, Gary, my name's Jamie. I'm at Keller Williams. How are you? This is a beautiful home. Gary's probably going to say, yeah, it's 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, blah, blah, blah. Do you have any buyers? Say, you know what? We are working with a lot of buyers. Who's we? Our company. And you might not be working with a buyer today, but what if you went through this property and that afternoon you received a lead, or you bumped into somebody looking to live in that school district? I mean, crazy stuff happens. And so now you're educated on the market to be like, oh, I have a property for you. And then you can reach out to Gary to schedule the property, okay? For buyers to see homes without obligation, it's without being qualified to research homes. So 51% of buyers research homes through open houses. So they are effective. Neighbors. I love neighbors. So Bruce, I'm sorry about that experience, but I absolutely do love neighbors. It's to see how their home compares to the listed home, the price of condition. When neighbors are nosy, I'm fine with that. I actually warrant that. As a matter of fact, if a seller said anything to me, I would say, now is the time to pick your neighbor. I would say that to every single neighbor. Who do you know that wants to live in this neighborhood? Who do you want to be as your neighbor in this environment? Because if you don't help us pick it now, then some other agent and online is going to pick it, and we're going to have somebody you don't know. It's a huge opportunity. And if you're really great at working open houses and a neighbor comes over and you say, what brings you here today? And you have some great questions, they might open up once they feel your energy and your communication. It might work for them, where Melissa might be like, you know, we're thinking about putting our house on the market in the spring. My husband might be taking a different job in Texas. Do you think that I want to put Melissa in my pipeline? Yes. So there's huge opportunity. And you, the agent, it benefits you. Capturing leads of potential buyers, potentially other sellers, because when somebody's coming to buy, they might want to what? Sell. They might want to sell. You have to be asking those questions. Connect with the neighbors prior to the event. Placing signs with your name throughout the neighborhood if you have signs. And practicing conversations, answering questions, and providing value. So, let's see, open houses. All right, we'll talk about marketing in a moment. All right, so the benefits of the open house. So they're inexpensive. Teresa, yes.
Sorry, we have a question in the chat. Is there a typical
percentage of buyers who go to an open house who are not already working with an agent?
100%, I am certain that there is a percentage out there, and I would be lying if I pulled a percentage number. The best answer I can give, because I don't know the percentage number, is one of the questions when people walk in, that conversational piece and the interaction would be more, it would sound like this. Hey, Gary, how are you? I'm Jamie Camerata. Welcome to 123 Main Street. What brings you here today?
Well, I'm just looking at getting a smaller house. I'm downsizing.
Excellent. Where do you currently live now?
Westboro?
Westboro. And do you have your property on the market yet?
No, because it's going to sell really quickly, so I need to know what I'm going to do first.
Excellent. And what do you think that your property is going to sell at?
Well, my neighbor's house sold for $1 million and mine's way better.
I
So I'm
love it.
getting over that.
Excellent. And what are you specifically looking for in a home?
Well, I like what I have. I just want smaller.
So now at this point, the conversations, that's when, if you really know this property, you're going to say, Gary, you're going to love this property. Not only does it sound a little bit smaller than your property, but it also has the potential for this, that, and you're going to work that person. Okay. And it's inexpensive to have conversations, is it not? I can't remember the quote, and I know that Tiffany's on here, so she might remember, but I think it's something like you're one question away from the next opportunity. So you're one question away from anything in life. And we make these assumptions, but I could ask somebody, like this morning, I just emailed somebody I knew in Florida, and she used to be in real estate. She's retired. And I said, I know that you live in this town, but I'm selling my parents' place in this town. What are the chances that you have some flippers or investors who are looking for a rehab with this price? It was just a question. I haven't talked to her in 15 years. I used to take her Christmas card photos. Boom, she gets right back to me, calls me. I'm ready. I got somebody. And after this call, I'm going to, contact her back. So one question on potentially selling a property faster. David.
Question, is there any type of statistic about, so for instance, I heard something like 16.9% higher net gain if you sell with an agent, right? You list with an agent. Is there something similar to that? Like the benefits?
Yeah. So the national site, the NAR site, or if you're in Massachusetts, the MAR site, they have all of these stats on there. And I don't want to kind of go into, and which is very easy for me, by the way, I don't want to get pulled down into a rabbit hole to explain scripts and objection handling about how to explain a for sale by owner or somebody who's potentially thinking about putting their home on the market and not doing it. But there are statistics, yes, to answer your questions. And maybe if you look at those two sites, it will work. Ariel?
I just wanted to say that one of the benefits I feel like for open houses is also experience in so when I first entered this industry, I felt like when you take your licensing test, they sell you on laws, like you learn a lot about the laws of real estate, and then everything else you're kind of on your own. And I feel like going to open houses allows you to really understand the different pieces of a house and what exactly people will ask you for things because this is their third house, right? And they understand what types of finishes that they want and what type of archways. Do they want natural wood? Do they want crown molding? Do they want bay windows? And I didn't necessarily know, I know those terms, but I didn't necessarily know all of the terms in which people will be looking for when buying a house. And I feel like going to open houses gave me a lot of insight on the different types of houses that are out there and what people are looking for. You mentioned Westboro. I recently sold a home in Westboro that was on on a slate. There was no basement. And I didn't even know that we really had those in Massachusetts that were outside of trailers. I didn't know that we had non-basement homes, that there was going to be water heaters and everything above ground. And I feel like had I not gone to certain open houses, I feel like tend to sound less experienced, which gives your client kind of like a shaky vibe versus like they say something and you can react quickly and understand what they're saying. And I think I got a lot of that experience from like regularly attending open houses, and not necessarily did every open house give me a lead, but if it didn't give me a lead, it gave me a connection. And I feel like they're just as valuable.
No, 100%. Yes, they are very valuable. And the other thing that you said is, guys, you're never going to end learning. And I challenge you that, okay? Because I don't care if you're in the industry 1 year, 2 years, 25 years. We fall into habits. And it's most times those habits work for us, or the way of lead generating, or the way that we market, or the way that we do something. And once we've hit that bench, sometimes we need to go higher than the benchmark, and we need to be poured into about other creative ideas, or just come around with the times, right? And so, you know, looking at open houses, getting a feel, and yes, the state guys, everybody, $400 for their schooling and $250 maybe for a test. That's not going to teach you how to sell real estate. Keller Williams and coming through these classes, we're going to teach you how to work in your business and how to work on your business. And so that is why it's crucial. So yes, get out there, look at them. And how about that? Yes, there are some dwellings that don't have a basement and everything is above ground. So the benefits of open house 2, prospecting tool, high ROI. So return of investment, because the main thing you invest in when preparing an open house is the time. The return of investment can be fantastic and great and rewarding. You can generate a lead, qualify a lead, and potentially close the deal. So like I said, is it inexpensive? Yes. Does it cost your time? Yes. But if you work it financially, it's going to hit your bank account, and we're all in this to also make money. So what type of leads are you most likely to get from open houses? Buyer leads. But don't miss that opportunity that you could also have a seller lead sitting in there, because you asked the right question. Again, one question away. Do you have anything to sell in order to buy? Have you put your home on the market? Have you hired a real estate agent? Have you signed a contract with the real estate agent to successfully market and put your home on the market? I would love to give you an equity report or a CMA. I'd love the opportunity to see the value. And so those are the scripts that you're going to get into when you go into buyer presentation and listings. Okay. Any ahas so far from what we've talked about while we move forward?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
What are some of the most common questions that people coming through the open house have? You know, they want to know how long it's been on the market.
Yeah. I mean, anything that you can think of, that one.
That's it.
You get every question from, what does the neighbor do? I don't know. I don't know. You get general ones. How long's it been on the market? Has there been any updates? Why are they selling? Where are they going? How long have they lived here? Can you tell me anything about the area, maybe the neighborhood? You know, things like that. Will they be leaving their contacts for painters and this and that? You get every question. And so the ones that you know, because you've prepared by doing a few things, which we're going to actually dig in deep. And that's the next conversation that we're having, is we're going to talk about that. Ariel.
I was just going to say that I've done a lot of open houses recently, and the number one question I usually get is, how old are the systems? How old is the roof? And when was the house built? People always want to know about the systems, the roof, and when the house was built. So
yep.
My first open house, I didn't have that information. And then I felt like really not the brightest.
Yep.
But I feel like I get that question all the time. How old are the systems? How old is the roof? And when was it built?
Right. So here's the thing. If there was a seller's disclosure signed, there might be information about that. If there was a renovation sheet that the list agent had the sellers fill out, there might be something there. Hopefully you talked to the list agent and said, hey, Gary, what are the things other than what I found on my own, because you're being proactive, after looking at MLS, reading the listing sheet, the firm remarks, the disclosures, the room size, the heating, whatever they allowed on there. I also went up to the paperclip in MLS and looked at some of the additional attachments that happen to be part of this property. I saw the plot plan, which is great. I think I'm gonna print it out so people can see the beautiful plot. I see that you put in that it's past Title V and the report is actually in the drive. And there's a renovation sheet that your sellers filled out. Awesome. Is there anything else that I need to know to successfully sell this property today? Tell me a little bit more about some things I need to know, because you've never met the sellers. And you have never maybe gone to the property and you don't know anything about the property. So the more purposeful, please write that word down, proactive and purposeful, that's on you. That's not on the list agent. That's not on me. It's on you to be purposeful and prepared and proactive. Ooh, 3 P's today. Proactive, purposeful, and prepared. And if you're operating in that mindset, then you're going to be working. So, open house best practices. We're going to dig deep into some of these. So as we're setting goals, we want to remember with the 6 perspectives, specifically from E to P, right? Entrepreneurial to purposeful with everything that we do. We should probably call Gary Keller and talk to him about my 3 Ps that I just invented and put those together. Maybe we could add that into the 6 perspectives. So before your open house, set concrete and achievable goals. For example, tell yourself your goal is to add 6 people to your database. So I'm a huge advocate about what you put out, the energy you put out there is purposeful. So you have to be in the right mindset. And an open house isn't just from 1 to 3. Okay. There is prep work, printing potentially, if you're not using command, we'll get into that. There's prep work in the listing stuff, getting there 20 minutes early, getting familiar with the property, turning the lights on, properly putting the signs out where they need to be located to get people exactly where they need to go. There are things that need to be done to be there. So it's important for you to set those achievable goals and put out there, I'm writing an offer today. I'm getting an offer accepted today. I'm adding 6 people in my database today. You better be doing something. Because remember that ROI that we just talked about, the ROI for you financially doesn't hit until you're so prepared, purposeful, and present that you're doing the job working so that you can potentially put money in the bank account, correct? All right. So think about your market numbers. Now, picking the house, I liked what Gary said at the beginning. If there's a neighborhood that you know, if you live in the town, if you're a townie and you've grown up here, so it doesn't matter what street, you knew them all, okay? You celebrated here, you had your best friend in 3rd grade here, whatever it is, your first couple of homes, yes. If you could potentially do some research and pick one that feels comfortable for you, not price. That's a mindset thing. So I'm going to tell you a story in a minute. But location, where it is, the town, pick the right house that makes you feel comfortable. Now, the reason why I said in terms of intimidation and mindset, I just wanted to share a quick little story that where I started in real estate, I started just like you, drinking through the fire hydrant of all this stuff. I was so super excited, but listened to my coach and they said, I challenge you to put out there, get an open house, and to do 1 open house this weekend. I was 3 weeks into the industry. I knew nothing. I knew my name. I knew my business card looked great. So I get the opportunity to do an open house. The house was $250,000 on the Lawrence Andover line. And I know for a fact that the area floods because I've seen it. It like floods. So now I'm like, okay, so this, but I'm super excited about, this is the open house that was given, the opportunity that was given. So I am so prepared, purposeful. I do the research. I ask questions. I get there 30 minutes early. I lay out all of the signs. I'm super excited. 1 o'clock comes. I'm ready for people to come down the door. Today's the day. I'm so excited. 1:30 comes around. I'm still reading the sheets, looking at other open houses in the area from 1 to 3 that fit the price between 250 and 300 or 150 and 300. Why? Because I'm gonna have to add some sort of value to the consumer if they don't like the one that they're looking at. Maybe I could influence them to go check out this one down the street. They're still open till 3, and I'm gonna follow you up later with a scale 1 to 10. How did you like that home I sent you to? So I was educating myself about what was going on. 5 minutes of 3. No one has come. I'm so excited. And finally, I'm shutting off all the lights, and what happens? Are you still open? But I'm super excited. Of course, we're open, lights back on, come on in, start asking them questions. Okay. We spend about 10 minutes at the home. Great conversations, really excited. Okay. So that was a $250,000 house. I follow up, like Gary said, that day with an email. Thank you so much for coming by. I'd love the opportunity to learn more about your wants and needs. If you're available this week to, come into the office, I'd love the opportunity to learn more about you. So long story short, I treated those clients and that home at $250,000 the way that I would treat any home at any value. I was prepared. I worked for it. I'm not intimidated. The house is beautiful. It's somebody's home, by the way. And so I did the job that I was supposed to do. And this is important because I want to let you know that not only did they get back to me, but they actually were looking for a property in Andover that was between 1.5 and 2.5 million. And they wanted to find the real estate agent that would treat them exactly the same. They felt as though that when they went into the $1 million homes, that the real estate agents didn't have a personality fit or weren't really looking out for their best interest. And they were shopping around under 500 to find that person that would respectfully be able to do the job and still talk about somebody's home that, by the way, was disclosed that it floods, somewhat of a rehab, potentially in some areas not safe, on the Andover Lawrence line, and under 300 at the time. Okay, so picking the right house and practicing purposefully and treating everybody equally, don't consider the price when you do that. And so considering inviting a speaker such an inspector or a lender. So remember we talked about safety. This would be a great opportunity to pair up with a lender, potentially. Is the first person I think of. An attorney is another one. They want the opportunity to get business too. So it's not just you running this business. You will start the transaction. That's who they meet when you work with sellers and buyers. But there's always going to be a lender involved unless it's all cash. So that's a different conversation. So most time there's always a lender involved. Then there's an appraiser involved. There's a home inspector involved. There's an attorney involved. And so it takes a team of people to close the transaction. So inviting an inspector or a lender or an attorney to the open house to meet clients, pick up clients, and just for you to build a better relationship is also of value. Picking the time and the theme. This is a big one. I love football season, and I am a huge football person. Okay. So, I also am very involved in my community and town. So I challenge you when you're picking a time to work an open house, please be cautious of the school schedule. If it's back to school parent night, if it's something's happening in the community where it doesn't make sense, maybe for that time to work on the open house. Maybe it's set on a 5K run, by the way, that's happened. And in Andover, if there's a turkey trot going on, then you obviously can't host an open house because you can't drive down that street. Football schedules, Probably just more local. The Pats would be just one. Don't go crazy and know that there's football all day on Sunday, so stop yourself from hosting it. I would just pick the local towns. Thursday night happy hour is a great time when people are commuting because they're working full time, and usually on the weekends they're so super busy. So be strategic about the time. And like Gary said, one of the reasons that, and Teresa too, that we absolutely love hosting / working open houses is it's your personality flair. So if you want to have a small theme, now this isn't a party. Okay, it's not a party. Don't get crazy. We're having a party at somebody's house. But if we want to have a small theme and it's like Mardi Gras week, or if it's Halloween or whatever it is, you know, wine and cheese, you can pick a small theme if that makes you feel good while you're marketing and promoting that. Okay. Ariel.
Are there any laws in Massachusetts that like revolve around serving alcohol at an open house?
Yes.
Are there? Okay, so could you elaborate a little?
So every state is different. You know, the best advice that I could say, and if anyone else wants to chime in and actually knows this, please let me know. But, you know, if you're hosting a wine and cheese open house, this is me. I'm just telling you what I would do. Not only would I ask permission and have that conversation with my seller, I would limit it to 1 glass only. It would probably be, it's just a sample. It's something to do. And if you really want to go above the extra mile and get a 1-day insurance policy, it's usually $100-$150, but I think it depends on the square footage of the home and stuff to cover yourself even more if something should ever happen. You know, remember, forget about the alcohol. If somebody is going up the stairs and falls on your property because of a rock or because of this and breaks their ankle and stuff, there is going to be a conversation had about the sound and safe of the property, how the person fell. I mean, people can be so happy for all these different reasons. But in terms of alcohol, I would have the conversation, keep it limited, and moderate it. The other thing too is here in Andover, you can hire our liquor store, Shawsheen Liquors. They have certified bartenders and they take the liability and risk, $75, and they only charge you for what is poured. So if I use a whole bottle of this, they're charging me for this, but the bartender's making $75 an hour and they take the liability and responsibility because they're tip certified. Just some ideas. David?
All right, I'm dying here. How did the story end up? Teacher, you didn't finish the story.
Oh, you weren't even able to hear all this stuff until you heard the end result. No, in the end, we actually ended up buying a house, not in Andover, in Reading, a beautiful home. And I'm still friends. They were my first clients, so I'm still friends with them. And come to find out, he was a trust fund somewhat baby, and their family owns the port, one of the ports of Rhode Island, like one of the bridges and all that stuff over there. And so not only did we sell their home, but now they're on their 3rd home. And so do the math. If I got into real estate in 2009 and that transaction was probably 2010, maybe even 11 that spring, that's how many times they've moved from 11 till now, 3 homes. So staying in connection with the people you've done business with is also important. All right, prepare stats. You got to know the market. Like I said, one of the things that I like to do when preparing for an open house, I want to know who else is my competition that day. Where else are people deciding between that small window of 11 to 2, 1 to 3, whatever time it is, where else are they going? And why would somebody write a check for that one versus this one? You want to be so knowledgeable that if Gary came in to the open house and this wasn't what they were looking for because their need really is 3-bedroom and they really thought maybe the office they saw online, they could add a closet and heat and get permits and make that a bedroom, and realized we can't make that a bedroom. It's not big enough. And it really is not going to be sold to them. Then my job is to have effective and purposeful conversations with Gary and say, well, let me ask you, it's 2:00. Have you seen, and then here's my cheat sheet. Have you gone and seen 144 Main Street? Did you see 32 Dover, 30 Tanglewood? They're also having open houses today that fit your price range, that potentially might fit your criteria. This one has 4 bedrooms, this one's 3, this one don't go to because that one's 2. So these 2, would you like me to write them down? And then let me ask you, is this your phone number? Is this your email? With respect, on a scale 1 to 10, can I call you and ask you on a scale 1 to 10, did you like that home? Would you like to see it again? Now, I've already had the conversation, by the way, are you exclusively working with a real estate agent? Because how much effort I want to put into something kind of depends how I'm feeling. I might do the right thing that day and say, oh, you're exclusively working with Gary. Okay, great. Gary's a great guy. You know what? I don't know if he told you, there's 2 more open houses that might fit. Why don't you go check those out and tell Gary I say hello? I might do that. Or it's too busy and I don't have time to do that. Does that make sense?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Say you're hosting the open house for someone in your office and then
Yes.
pointing potential clients to other houses. Isn't that a conflict of interest or going against the person in your office who you're hosting for? Isn't that working against them?
How would it work against them when they've expressed on their wants and needs that this house, either price wise, putting in another bedroom, 100% does not fulfill what they want? So that's the question that you're going to ask them at that time. You're going to say, on a scale 1 to 10, how do you rate the home in terms of your wants and needs? And they're like, ooh, it's at a 7. What could make it an 8? Well, we really need 3 bedrooms. And when we saw it online, we saw an office and we thought maybe we could turn that office into a bedroom. But after looking at the land and after looking at the layout and the slanted roof, that's not going to be possible. And we're not willing to put that much money into it to make that happen. So unfortunately, this house will not be the house for us.
So it's going to be a definite no, anyone you're going to refer to another house.
I mean, it would be a definite no, or if it's also a consideration, this is really where you have to have people skills, right, Stephen? So I would say, okay, so we're at a 7 or an 8. What other homes have you looked at today? Oh, we just, we just started looking. We were late to the game. We went out to brunch. My wife's due in 3 months. We really should be moving out. They start telling their story. Whatever that story empowers you to do, Stephen, that's when I would probably say, listen, do me a favor. I'd like you to go see these 2 other homes. And then I'm going to call you and I'm going to ask you for each of the homes that you saw today. I want a number. Okay. If we're in an 8, 9, or a 10, that 9 or a 10, we should probably be making an offer, Stephen. If they're at a 7 or an 8, there's a reason. It's so close, but it's either about money, it's about this, it's about that. And if they're not, Stephen, working with a real estate agent, I might want to show the value in kind of steering them in the right direction so that they feel so comfortable that when I follow up with them, they're actually happy and engaged because I gave them a project, I gave them control, and I'm coming back to them. So I'm putting value into what they didn't know about another open house, and I'm following up organically. That's where the line, you got to figure it out. But great question. Any other questions?
Can I jump in for a second?
Sorry,
So-
Steve. We all set?
I was just going to say it's a careful line that you don't want to cross though.
I wouldn't cross it when they are exclusively working with another real estate agent.
Well, I mean, for the person you're hosting, you don't want to, you want to make sure if there are no before you point them in another direction.
Yes,
Yeah.
and at the same time, I want their offer to be strong. So if they really want this property and they're doing their due diligence on other homes, if this is the after I send them to home B and C, they're gonna know which one they're gonna wanna write an offer on. And if it's mine, great, we're coming in strong with no insecurities and they're not gonna be backing down because they didn't see enough homes, and we're gonna make that happen. Or it's not gonna happen here and they're not working with anybody and I'm gonna make it happen for options B or C.
Yeah, and I'm not so much talking about it's a house you're listing. I'm
Yep.
saying you're hosting it for someone else in your
Yep.
office. So it's not your listing.
Correct.
That's why I think it's a line that you don't want to cross when you're pointing them in another direction other than the house you're hosting for someone in your office.
Ye-
But
don't
I understand your points. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your job is to sell the property to an able and willing buyer who wants to purchase it, right? So if they're not able and willing and they don't want to purchase it and they're contemplating, my job is to ask great questions, go back to their real estate agent, or educate them somewhere else for the potential for me to pick up a lead.
Okay.
So yes, I want to sell this property, but if they're not going to write an offer right then and there after this open house, then I have to ask really great questions and show value and maybe even bring them back to that house. Whether I list the property, to be honest with you, or not. Of course, if I listed the property, I want to sell it. I'm the list agent. But if I can't, then I want to work the other angle and vice versa. But great
Right.
conversation. I appreciate the back and forth. Gary.
Couple things just to remember. You'll get a feel whether this is the house for them. And if it's not, you're not going to force, a round peg into a square hole or whatever that term is. But so you can educate them on other things that's around. Keep in mind, however, the house may have a monitor that the owners may be listening in. So don't ever be negative about the house you're hosting, but you can educate on other ones. Oh, this isn't working for you. Have you seen blah, blah, blah? And that's where it comes into, you're going to work weekends. This is the type of job we have. You're going to work weekends. If you are not having your own listing and you're doing things, then you should be going out to open houses in multiple towns and educate yourself. This is what $100,000 buys in this town. This is what $100,000 buys in this town. This is what $100,000 buys in this town. So when you go host and work your open house, and this is not what they're looking for, you could say, you'll know, oh, you wanted cathedral ceilings or coffered ceilings. Oh, I know of another house that has that or has what you're talking about because you've toured other ones. Then your value comes out and it's easier for them to say, great, can you show me that house? So I always like to have our new agents spend a lot of time going to open houses all weekend long. If they don't have anything else going on, go to open houses. So you get to see what a dollar buys in each town. And then you'll start educating yourself on, oh, what is a coffered ceiling? Oh, look at this. This is a raised ranch. I didn't realize they have ranches in this town. Oh, what is a Campanelli ranch in Framingham? Or, so the more open houses you're going to go to, the more knowledge you're going to get about design, structural communities, property lines. You're going to know that $500,000 in Newton is going to buy a small piece of lot as opposed to $500,000 in Worcester that you'll get more land for your dollar. So
Yeah.
just educating yourself.
And when we talk about knowing the market and preparing your stats too, we also want to prepare things about like school districts, employment information, recreation, things nearby, time, commute, how close it is to a Stop and Shop. If you're not familiar with the area, you just want to have a little bit of sense and awareness of the location of the property, the town, the neighborhood, as best as possible. Again, I don't want you to spend 7 hours doing a whole dissertation of all this information. You don't need to do that. You just want to be knowledgeable so that you'll be able to either A, sell the property, or B, capture leads. All right, safety, safety, safety. So we talked about a buddy system. If that's what you want to do and you want to invite an attorney, a lender, another agent to help you, things like that, by all means, please do so. I wouldn't really encourage bringing like your girlfriend or boyfriend, husband, wife, a friend. I really would not encourage that. I would encourage, again, sticking within the industry and finding an affiliate that is like a contractor or, you know, a home inspector, attorney, lender, something like that. Arrive early, like I mentioned, strategically where you're putting the signs, you want to make sure that they're directing people from the most major routes using three signs. So you're going to do a little bit of preparing, which we're going to talk about in the next slide of how to do that. You're going to park on the street. Don't block the driveway. We want the person that potentially is buying the property to have the full experience. So please park not in the driveway. Check all entrances and exits. Okay, so I would familiarize myself with the points of having to leave if there was an emergency. And what I mean by that is, let's just say there's a slider, there's a kitchen and a living room that's all in one. But it's a big home, so the door is in front of you, but like far ahead, and that's where people are coming in. And so if you were in an unsafe situation, where else would you be able to exit the property? You might want to open up the slider to the deck because it's a beautiful day, or keep it unlocked and remember to lock it. But you want to familiarize yourself with all of the ways to come into the property that's unlocked and all the ways to exit the property if you needed to. Make sure your cell phone's fully charged. Your iPad's fully charged. That's part of being prepared, by the way. But making sure that it's fully charged and that someone knows where you are that day. So please let someone know that you're doing open house at this property from 1 to 3. Sometimes, you know, in areas where, or in inclement weather, if the seller was leaving and I was coming a little bit early, I'd introduce myself and say that I'll be representing your open house today. I'm really looking forward to, quote, selling your home. Is there anything that you want to share with me that I should know? Just to have conversations, okay? And then sometimes I might say, I'm going to be here for a couple of hours and I noticed it's a dead zone. You know, is it okay for safety purposes that, you know, I connect to your Wi-Fi? I have done that before in some areas that I know are complete dead zones and that there's no cell phone service, but it's just a suggestion. Obviously turn all the lights in the bedroom, the hallways, places like that. Check your local COVID guidelines and what your seller is comfortable with in terms of letting people in. So we've kind of loosened up a little bit on that in New England. Here's a tidbit. I just want to talk about safety in basements. I never go down into the basement. That's my personal preference. I don't care if it's a finished basement or not. I'm not going down there. It's a safety thing for me. I keep the door open. I say downstairs, you'll find a fully finished basement. It's beautiful. On your way up, let me know, scale 1 to 10, how you loving it. My scale 1 to 10, by the way, is the best interactive piece with people because it gives you a sense on how serious they are and what they're feeling about the property. Okay. So for safety purposes, I don't go into the basement. If somebody said to me, you know, I have a question about something that's in the basement, can you come down with me? A, are there other people around? B, you know, do you feel safe or do you get that gut feeling? C, you could say, actually, I really don't go down to the basement. If you could just go back down and take a picture of it, I can ask the sellers. Again, you could say that if you really wanted to, but just be prepared and do what's right and fits you. Again, if you're too nervous to do open houses by yourself, please do the buddy system. And then obviously follow your market center guidelines and checklists for open houses. Here's a big one. You cannot do open houses for another Keller Williams that is not associated with your market center. So what do I mean by that? Okay. And I want to be specific. So we own the territory in here. We have one market center, Andover North, Andover Methuen. This is our market center. And we have our own DBA here. Okay. So it's like an LLC, but this is a franchise and it's owned here for this unit. My agent cannot do an open house for the Westford office because we don't own the Westford office. That is under a different LLC. And that would be like doing an open house for a Remax or a Coldwell Banker. It's a different LLC. So you have to stay within jurisdiction of the real estate agents that are on your roster. If you have any questions about that, please go to your leadership team and ask. But I see very often newer agents have friends in other areas. And I just want to put that out there that you cannot be doing open houses for that purpose. All right. Any good ahas, something that you've learned, you've heard here so far, before we take a 5-minute break and then we come back and finish strong in the next hour? Is there something good? I want to tell me 2 things that you have heard that you're like, boom, mind blown, or great stuff. David.
The idea of researching what other open houses there are so that
Okay.
you're knowledgeable about that. Awesome. And also being aware of events like whatever football games are coming up, or the local, you know, if there's a running of the Bulls or something or other, just to not mess with that.
Excellente. Somebody we have not heard from today. Oh, okay, we'll go with Bruce, and then I want one more person that I haven't mentioned today. Okay, Bruce?
I think the idea of working the open house, and I was thinking that every contact is an opportunity. And I loved all the questions you asked. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Every contact is an opportunity, by the way. I love that you just said that, because I'm going to challenge you with, has nothing to do with open houses, but I'm going to challenge you to look at your phone during the break. And most people have an Apple phone. If you have a Droid or an Android, I don't know how to help you, but go to your contacts of an Apple phone, just hit at the bottom contacts, scroll all the way down. And how many contacts do you have in your phone? I want you to put that in the chat. Okay, so during our 5-minute break in a minute after we hear from April, I want you to tell me how many contacts that you have in your phone. April.
So I love the whole theme aspect of doing an open house, especially coming into the holiday season. You have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So that gives you ideas of doing, you know, you can go to the dollar store or Walmart and get a couple of little Christmas decorations and kind of, you know, distribute them around. And a big aha thing that I never even thought of was when you said don't go to the basement, because it gave me chills down my spine. So I put that all in caps in my notes. Don't go to the basement, you know.
Just to be clear, April, too, that's me. That was me. And
Yeah.
I will fully disclose that, you know, I would
Yeah.
like, I would do it respectfully and just say, you know
Of
what?
course.
With all due respect, I choose not to venture down into the basement. If you
Yeah.
take a picture of me, it's all in how you present it. But again, somebody else might be like, oh, I'm going in the basement and I'm going into the oil tank room. Awesome. Have at it.
April,
Thank you, April.
April and Jamie, let me just chime in real quick. Go into the basement. If you have to go to the basement, open the door and have them go first. You follow them
Yep.
down.
Yep.
That way they can't push you down the stairs. That's
Yeah,
all
Oh,
I
good
have.
I
Lord.
love you. You could do that too. But still, this girl from Andover, team leader for 8 years, is not going into the basement. All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute just break here, grab a water, stretch. I want everybody back at 10:25. We are going to jump into our second portion and get more detailed about how to prepare, prospect, and pursue to finish this up today. So if you need anything, please let us know. I will still be sitting here, but 5 minutes, you can turn your camera off, go on mute, make that call, but come back at 10:25, please. Okay, I want to let everybody know that we're coming back in 1 minute, so grab that water, grab that coffee, sit back down, turn the camera on, get your participation guide out, and we are going to continue here. Look at all those beautiful faces. Come back, everybody. Okay, so we kind of just glanced over and talked about prepare, prospect, and pursue of the details of open houses. And so the difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. So everyone's interpretation of big and really big and host versus work in open house is different. And so how you manage your time and how purposeful you are and where your focus is really the difference, both success and financially where you go. So we are going to talk about how we are going to prepare, prospect, and pursue. All right, so remember the goals that you had for open house is to get appointments with active buyers and potential sellers on the other end, or to sell the property. So to be at your best and achieve what you set out for yourself takes preparation, obviously. So scheduling preparation time during the week before an open house to ensure that you can capture leads and set appointments and that you're organized. So you're going to spend more time preparing for the open house than you actually, and it says we'll be hosting the event. Sorry, Gary Keller, I'm gonna scratch that one. We're not hosting an event. But you will spend a lot of time preparing if you choose, because if you're more prepared, proactive, and purposeful, then you're going to either sell that house or collect leads. So prepare your mindset beforehand. Set high and achievable goals. So I like to put out there something like, I'm going to track 2 to 5 new leads to my database today. Something positive, throw it out there, okay? Remove your limiting beliefs. All right, don't think for other people. I said this on Thursday. First of all, you're not purchasing the property, they are. What they see is not exactly what you see. What their loves are not what your loves are. And it's not your job to direct them. Your job is to ask great questions for them to think about what they want. Focus on your success and obviously believe in yourself. So have confidence, okay? You're just having conversations with people about what they're asking for. What are you looking for? When you want to be there. So when you go through the buyer consultation and the needs analysis, a lot of these questions are in there, but these are really great questions for an open house. So what questions, somebody asked this earlier, what questions do you get? But you know, what questions would you ask? Let's hear from 3 people. What questions would you ask if you were interested in purchasing a property at this point? And if you're a homeowner or if you rent, doesn't matter. What are you looking for? What would be an important question for you?
I think, again, one of the questions would be, you know, how long it's been on the market, then maybe why. You know, they might ask you, why do you think this property's been on the market longer than something else in the area?
And why would that question be important to you?
Because it might expose some flaws in the house that aren't evident with the listing sheet or anything, any of the usual statistics.
Okay, and it sounds as though that price might be one of your criterias, that you're trying to purchase something at the best price possible. And so if
Right.
it's been on the market for a long time, was it really priced right to begin with? Correct?
Right, yeah.
Awesome. All right, so when we're doing this, most of the week, you want to also practice these conversations, just like you said. So other than that one, give me 2 more from other people I haven't heard. What questions would you ask? Throw something out there. What question do you want to ask, or would you think that, I don't even know if I would get that? What do you think you're going to hear? What are you going to ask?
I know that one of the questions I get on a regular, consistent basis are the major systems. How old's the roof? How old is the furnace? What are things that I need to take care of if I were to buy this house, what would be a major concern for me?
Okay,
I'd
So-
want to,
go ahead. What's the next one?
I'd want to know how long the current owner has lived there. Because I want to know whether this is something that you've lived in for a while or whether they're there for a year or two. I mean, how often does the property turn over would be something I'd want to know.
Okay, and depending on price and size, sometimes it's the beginner home, sometimes somebody who downsized belonged to that home and now it's gonna be somebody's first time, home because they're just starting their family or, they're a single person purchasing their first financial transaction in real estate. So these conversations are great. Remember, if you don't know the answer, it's okay not to know the answer. Just say, that's a really great question. I'm gonna get back to you. Let me ask you, is this a great cell phone number for you? And repeat what they wrote, okay? So after you've done the hard work, like picking the house, let's go back here. Sorry about that. So after selecting the house, you wanna maximize the potential client traffic at your open house. So now this is a lot of detail, this slide, okay? So there's a lot of ways that we can jump down this rabbit hole. Some of you have asked for statistics, and so I do want to throw out that 93% of buyers use a website to find a house. So go where the people are. So post online where your open house is. So what does that look like? When we're preparing, typically it says Monday, but we select the house. So on Tuesday, we want to let people know that there'll be an open house at 123 Main Street, and we might post on social media. We might put a picture of the property. We might use our command platform and pick a design that's already there for you. You might turn around to the list agent and say, hey, listen, do you post about your open houses? Would you send me over your marketing piece so that I can post it as well? You can write something creative like, hey, come see me on Sunday between 10 and 2 and enter our football raffle to win a cooler filled with snacks for the football game, and check out this 3-bedroom, 2-bath, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so get creative. You could invite the neighbors, so you could safely do door knocking if you want to invest in that and learn more about the neighborhood and talk to the neighbors. You could make phone calls. And so here's the big disclosure. Please remember that there are do not call lists and that we have the TCPA laws and restrictions. So if people don't want to be called, you have to look their information up in the cross database. Now, some market centers have this thing called cold directory. So if you want to write that down, some market centers do not. It costs money. Cold directory is a way that you can get people's phone numbers based on their streets. So when you're prospecting and having a open house on Tanglewood, you'll notice that Tanglewood is a small neighborhood with Tanglewood, Rocky Brook, and Wintergreen. And let's just say there's about 200 homes within that area. I might want to use the cold directory and make the phone calls. Now, cold directory already wipes the phone numbers and they've done the do not call list. Mojo Dialer does the same thing. There are third-party companies that you could purchase that do this. Otherwise, you need to go to the website, ask your leadership team for that information to cross-reference if you're going to be calling anybody that they're not on that do not call list. And you're just inviting them. So you could host or work, up to you, right? A private neighborhood showing from 11 to 12, when really your public open house might be from 12 to 2. And again, why would you do that? Why is there benefit? Because they know the neighborhood the best. They could pick their neighbors now. They could compare that home to their home, where you could potentially be scheduling a comparative market analysis or an equity report to show them what their house would be worth in today's market, and not by a Zillow number, by the way, but by preparing an actual comparative market analysis, which you'll learn in your market center, to invite them to come to that private showing or invite them to the actual open house. You're going to also post online at some point. And it says install a yard sign. A yard sign should already be in front of the house, but what they mean is you could put a rider at the top of the yard sign that says open house, 12 to 2 on Sunday. Sometimes the list agent has those. If they don't have it, then we don't put it, and that's okay. You definitely want to make sure that with an MLS that they have allowed the broker community and anyone who fits these criteria to know that there's an open house. So the MLS in which you put the property address that syndicates out to all of the resources, it will also syndicate out that once you toggle the open house time, it will also let the Zillow, the Redfin, the Trulia, blah, blah, blah. It will let all of those sites know there's an open house from this time to this time. So please make sure that you tell your list agent to remind them to do that, because you're not going to have access to their listing. And then Friday, it says post online again and prepare market stats, print flyers, door knock. Okay. Printing flyers. Again, ask the list agent if they would like to print flyers so that they have a template that they use. Maybe some list agents don't, and they say, you know what, I don't use paper. Just send them to MLS. Go on to MLS and print the sheet. If that's not how you want to do it, then I encourage you to make an open house flyer and take the same description that's in MLS and a picture, go into our templates and command and cut, copy, paste, and make one. Okay. If you choose to door knock, preparing the market stats is exactly what I told you guys about. Just know what other open houses are happening in the area. Know how many days on market. What are the days on market for properties that haven't gone under agreement in that price range? Just in case you have a person who likes to talk about numbers. Now, remember, you want to mirror and match people. So Michael O'Donnell is up on my screen right here. So if Michael isn't someone that I'm talking to that wants to talk about the amazing neighborhood get-togethers and Benjamin Moore paint colors, then I need to be able to adapt to what his personality or what he's exuding. And if he's like, I want to know about the stats. How many days on market has this been? Where do we start the price on this? What are you seeing in the market? What are other houses doing? So he's a numbers person, right? So I don't want to lose him as a potential client for this house or for another house. So I need to have a sense of awareness of something to be able to accommodate the personality and questions from Michael. Whereas maybe April might be more like, oh my God, when we pulled in, I saw that there was a neighborhood, block party. What else happens in this neighborhood? I have 4 kids and I'm super psyched. And we're so excited to see this house. Then you have to have that personality to have knowledge of whatever that knowledge could help answer April's questions. Okay. So
Jamie, do you mind if I pop in just for a quick minute?
absolutely.
There's some chat in the just talking about, if you saw a sign for no solicitation, would you still knock? And then also somebody had mentioned about putting something in a mailbox. I did say that is a federal offense. We do not touch anybody's mailboxes. So if you could just talk about that for a second.
I mean, I believe in Massachusetts, you can't go into somebody's mailbox.
Okay.
Okay. However, you, without damaging a mailbox, could use a light Scotch tape to tape a door hanger, or use their red door mailbox flag and stick something there. You can do stuff like that, but yes, you cannot open up anyone's mailbox. In terms of, somebody said, what is a rider? So a rider is when you have a yard sign. A yard sign is the big rectangle piece that says for sale, Jamie Camerata Group, Keller Williams Success. It's the informational piece. It usually goes on a hangman type of piece of wood that hangs in somebody's yard. And so that wood at the top has the ability to slide in a couple of what we call riders. Those riders are very long, thin pieces that either have open house, sometimes we'll say for sale, under agreement, sold. And so that's what we mean by riders. April.
So I had something kind of weird happen not too long ago. And I'm not even sure if this was a real estate agent that did this or not. I live on a dead end and I had company and I'll try to condense this, and they were leaving and my mom and I noticed somebody driving up the street, slowly driving past my house, looking at it. They turned around, went back the other way, and then we didn't think anything of it. And I was doing some dishes and the same person came back up the street, even slower, staring at my house. And then on his way back, he was holding his phone like this, driving by my house, like he was filming my house. And then like 2 weeks later, we started getting like real estate cards. I'm saying to myself, is that even legal to do that with your phone? Because I mean, you're not touching the mailbox and things like that. And we always go on the do not call list with our cell phones, but how do we, like, how is that right? I guess.
I don't know if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
To be honest. You know, I kind of want to challenge the fact that, did you give Google Maps the permission to be able to use satellite to come down and show the front of your house and what it looks like in the surrounding street when you use the surround on that?
I don't use Google Maps.
Right, so Google Maps.
Right.
The answer is no, it's actually a trick question, but
Yeah.
so you don't give permission for satellite.
Right. Oh, no, I never. Yeah, right. I never do, but I don't even. Yeah.
What I would do is, you know, if you're a little nervous about that, I would just probably call that real estate agent and just say, listen, with all respect, did you drive by my house? And
Mhm.
you know, I would prefer you not to video my property. So you could do something like that if you felt endangered, unsafe, something like that. Or if the same car came around twice.
Right.
However, I have known real estate agents to take current pictures of homes that they're prospecting.
Okay.
Use the current picture from, say, October with beautiful fall leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Use that as a marketing piece saying, you know, to Michael, hey, Michael, your home looks so beautiful with the two, you know, casting trees and leaves, you know, it's very appealing for a buyer. If you're ever looking to
Mhm.
sell, I'd love the opportunity. Or if they're
Okay.
sending like an equity report or a CMA to the neighborhood in January and saying like, hey, want to sell your house this year and talk about a 1031 and taxes and however creative marketing. But when you start
Yeah.
to feel unsafe, yes, April, I would, you know, have that conversation, but
We actually put security cameras up because of that, just in case of, you know, it happened again.
yeah, it's a fine line. David,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So my wife and I came home yesterday and saw this hanging on our mailbox.
Yep.
You know, the little hook that usually people put newspapers on.
Yep.
It might be too short a notice and not worth the effort to print out a bunch of these.
Yep.
Specifically with that open house like detail. But I don't know. I thought this was like, there's no reason not to hang something like this.
Yeah.
Like coming soon in your neighborhood, open house, you know,
Yeah.
look for details or something.
I would do it for a listing or something like that. Again, it's marketing. It's how much do you want to spend on something, right? So that person is going around and, you know, sometimes they put the Patriot schedule, sometimes it's market stats, sometimes it's all about the agent. I sold 4 homes in this neighborhood, yours could be next. So, you know, when you buy in bulk like that, the cost is low, and then purposefully you take your time to go put them and promote them. So would I do it for an open house? I'm not sure, it depends on cost. But, you know, would I either make phone calls and make sure I don't do the do not disturb? Would I roll up a piece of paper and put it in the knob of their door? Would I do something like that, like a flyer? Again, maybe it depends on how invested I am and what my style of being a buyer agent or a list agent, or just an agent in general. So great idea. So what clients like to know is the community and neighborhood information. Sometimes they're from a different area, they're relocating, they're 2 towns over, or they're within the same town and there's always sides of a town. There's the south side, north side, east side, west side, I don't know. But they want to know, you know, certain things about the community. Maybe you could prepare some stuff and have some knowledge that the North Andover community for children has a youth center that's open up from grades 1 to 7. We also have this in a public library. We have 2 mini downtowns. We have 4 grocery stores, like whatever the information is. the relocation information. So they want to know sometimes in terms of relocation, what the community looks like, or the town. First time buyer specifics. So when you're a first time buyer, you're excited and a lot of times extremely nervous, and they have a lot of questions, and they want to make sure that they're making all the right choices because they have certain specifics, because they've either lived with their parents, they've rented, like whatever it is. And so you want to make sure that you understand what their needs are and be able to answer them. So some of the first time buyer specifics, what do you think that first time buyers are going to be potentially asking? Here's one. Let's say that they look at a property, they've been pre-approved for 350. They're super excited. They have an awesome lender. Their lender said you could go up to, but no more than 350, because they know that they want their payment monthly to be this. But the first time home buyer starts sharing some stuff with you, and you remember from being prepared that that house is heated by what? Oil. And so that's about 5 deliveries, because I have oil, throughout the year. And oil's insane. It's insane. It's like $6. It's like $6.50. It's so insane to heat your home. So, they might be concerned about that. Is this oil or is it not? Is it public water? Is it septic? Sometimes, is it within this school district or this school district? Great question. I'd like for you to go on the North Andover website, and it changes every year. And so you would call the town and give them the street address at which you're looking at, and they will tell you which school for this current year it is allocated to. Because again, sometimes it does change very quickly. And the other thing that clients want to know sometimes is mortgage information. Sometimes they haven't been pre-approved yet. Now, I want you to stay in your lane about understanding how to work open houses and understanding how to ask questions. You're not the loan officer. I do want you to know, and that's why it's really great to have a loan officer at an open house, or to talk to a loan officer prior to the open house and get some information about, hey, if based on closing time on Friday, somebody's interested in this house on Sunday, and it's a $300,000 property, they're gonna put 20% down. So they're gonna assume a mortgage for this. Approximately what do the rates look like, and approximately what would be their mortgage amount? Having a little bit of information will go a long, long way. And then you could say, I got this information from my guy, Ross Billings, who works at Cross Country. And so if you'd like me to put you in touch with him, I'm sure he can do a quick analysis of your finances, get you completely pre-approved. And if you really love this house, we could write an offer tomorrow. Does that make sense? It's kind of like that rainbow that I used to see on Channel 2. The more you know. So it's always better to know as much as you can, and be as knowledgeable as possible. So again, it is highlighted with the RESPA, Keller Williams. You see here, agents associates must provide an ABA disclosure to the consumer at or before any referral is made to Keller Mortgage. So Keller Mortgage is something that our company has also been promoting, that here it's another leverage or resource piece that our company has, where you can get people pre-approved through our Keller Mortgage company. If you'd like to know more about that, you need to talk to your team leader. Every market center has information about it or can point you in the right direction for it. Otherwise, if you're using someone local, like I mentioned, like a Ross Billings, then know their RESPA information as well. So prospecting. So if you've read the MREA, then you've obviously heard of leads, listings, and leverage. Open houses are all about these 3 things. An open house is a great prospecting tool that requires mostly time as the initial investment. Again, if you're buying a couple of things, you're having a little party, you're having a raffle, you're providing apple cider and apple donuts, it's a little bit of cost. So let's look at some ways that open houses can be used for prospecting leads. So an important part of the open house is obviously to build trust and rapport with the foot traffic that visits the house. And so ways that you can do this are greet everybody that comes into the door. Even if it's a child, I always want everybody to feel comfortable. I like to think about open houses, when you greet somebody, you're like the stewardess of a plane, like you're in charge. Okay. And so some people don't know the rules and regulations as to what is proper and what is not, and they need to be reminded sometimes. So use your people skills, and everybody that comes through the door, if the seller has I don't want any shoes on in the property, please mention that. Hi, welcome to 123 Main Street. My name is Jamie. The seller, as you can see here in this beautiful 8x10 sign that's framed that says shoes off. The seller is requesting for shoes to be off, or for you to wear one of these blue booties. Okay, something like that. You greet everybody, make them feel comfortable. You can ask them a couple of questions as you're engaging in conversation as to, how did you know about today's open house? Usually they'll send, my agent sent me, I saw it online. So that's a conversation starter. If there's a lot of people coming into the open house and it's somewhat overwhelming, you are the cruise director. It is okay for Melissa to come into the house and I say, hey, Melissa, thanks so much for coming. Please take your shoes off. Welcome to 123 Main Street. My name is Jamie. If you have any questions, Melissa, I am going to ask you to start upstairs with the 3 beautiful bedrooms and 2 full baths. It is a busy open house. So if you could start upstairs and check those out, and on your way down, I'm going to ask you on a scale 1 to 10, how are you rating the property? 1 meaning I'm not interested at all, I'm going back out the front door. From 10, like, I absolutely love it, I'd like to write an offer today. And if you have any questions, I'll be right here at the bottom of the stairs. So now I am in control, right? Next person, April's coming in, and I'm like, April, thank you so much for coming. Why don't you check out the kitchen and the beautiful living room that overlooks the pool area? Start there, and when I see you again, I'm going to ask you on a scale 1 to 10, same thing. I'm just interacting. When you feel more confident and comfortable, that is when, if there's an opportunity to get into more specifics, you can ask them, how long have you been looking? Do you have anything to sell? Things like that. Okay. Now at this time, they have also potentially filled out a open house information piece that says their name, email, phone number, if they're working with an agent, things like that. So every market center runs this portion differently. Again, usually an agent will teach how they do it. The beautiful thing about Command, and I'm not going to get too crazy into this, Command, if you just take the time, if I could lead you somewhere and you're going to do open houses, I would challenge you to look up how to create a landing page. Because once you watch the video, it literally takes 3 minutes to create one. And how to create a QR code, which literally takes 30 seconds once you've watched the video on how to do it. Okay. If you can have a QR code that people can scan when they come in, that you say, please scan this QR code and answer the 5 questions. The 5 questions are coming from the questions that are actually on the landing page that you have created. Name, it's a lead capturing box, name, information, email, okay? And once they fill that out, then David, once you fill that out completely, I'm going to get a great text message here on my phone, because that's what's going to happen, because it comes through your app, that you registered for this open house, and I'd love the opportunity for you to check it out, and I'm going to ask you on a scale 1 to 10, blah. So now David fills out the 4 or 5 questions, and what do I have? Instantly, I have David's information, correct? So once I have David's information, where is it now? it's in my command portal, which is in my database, which is in my contacts. And it's already, a file has already been started that David White is coming through my portal, correct? And so it also brought him to the landing page where it said, fill out this information. But it's also a beautiful picture of the property, maybe with a description box that's branded to you. So that is a 2.0 experience. I might have lost some people on that. I will say, come back to non-technology related. If you choose to do pen and paper and have people sign in that way, I'm cool with that. But if you would like to embrace the command and the technology, I would say learn how to make a QR code, learn how to make a landing page, and have that conversation, because it could be extremely powerful. And be positive, okay? Be happy. Everybody has bad days. Remember, these people are very excited about coming to this property today. And so you want to make sure that your energy mirror and matches that, even if you're having a bad day, because it's about them and it's about getting this house either A, sold, or B, capturing leads. Yes? Thumbs up, yes. Okay, great. I still have everybody. So providing value. So when we're providing value, you want to know either your team stats or your market center stats if asked. Now, it's just an example. If you're like, I don't feel comfortable, I don't know what our stats are, we don't go over that, I don't even know what stats mean, then don't do that yet. Don't do statistics in the market. Just know a little bit about what's selling. How many days on market are things sitting? Almost every market center in New England by now, internal Facebook wise, external, internal within the company, is pushing out certain marketing pieces or certain information, especially at your shareholder meetings or team meetings, whatever you want to call them, about what's going on in the market. Okay. So if you really need to understand like how to pull stats in the market, I challenge you to talk to your mentor, your PC, your TL, ask for a class to be run, but just having a little bit of knowledge on how to pull a little bit of information goes a long way. Understanding personality types. I'll stop there. David.
Hey, this might not be the place to have like more detailed answers. I put
Okay.
like a bunch of questions like crazy about what you had just shared about the QR code and that. Is there a place that I could go? Like, again, it might be outside the scope of what you were doing right now.
Yes, it is. There's an answer for everything, David. It's not within this one. However, you are asking really great questions. So once we're finished with this and I stop the recording, for those of you that want to stay on, I will stay on for 5 minutes to show you a little bit about what I have that are their resources that I can share with you that might answer those questions instantly instead of me trying to navigate you through where to find everything. Okay. But a lot of this also is when you're in your command portal, explore KW Connect, like the New England YouTube channel, like the New England Facebook page. Things like that will have a lot of this shared information because, as you know, you've chosen to be in business with Keller Williams, and we are all about sharing. We want to share, so much sharing that we just want you to implement. So understanding personality types, not everyone's going to be your cup of tea. Welcome to the world. You're going to be able to make choices on whether or not you want to work with somebody, they want to work with you, or you choose not to work with each other. That's a hard one to swallow. When you're not chasing the money and you're chasing the opportunity, Melissa might be a great person, but she might not be following the way that I would like for her to do some of the work that's needed in order for me to be the best buyer agent for her. And if that doesn't work, I'm okay with saying to Melissa, I don't think this relationship's going to work, but I do have an agent, David, that I think that you'd work better with. Okay. And I know some of you might think I'm crazy, like, yeah, but that's money on the table. It's also my time. It's my frustration, my sanity, and not getting, cold sores because I'm so stressed out. So it's all on the individual. Okay. And then have something to offer the visitors. So whether you have a listing sheet, you're trying to navigate them to another place to go. You have your business card. Maybe you made cute water holders and you're giving everybody a water bottle and that's your business card and you got really creative and you love Pinterest and Etsy. Guys, you're gonna build your brand and who you are through those marketing ways and things. At the end of the day, while you're working the open house, you want to be prepared, you want to prospect, you want to be purposeful, present, and you want to intentionally either sell that property with a potential buyer that's coming in and hopefully represent them and they're not represented by another agent, or B, you want to pick them up as a client. Capturing information and qualifying the leads. Okay, so we talked about the sign-in sheet. Somebody's probably going to say, where do I find that sign-in sheet? Because I'm wicked excited to get an open house this weekend. I love it. I'm going to give you my contact information as a backup, but I would like you to ask your market center where you can be able to find a sign-in sheet sample. If you choose to use command, use it. You're not running from technology. You know, COVID had some pros and cons, believe it or not. There was gold on the other side of the rainbow. Unfortunately, in this day and age, it did bring us back to reality where it kind of forced the sense of tradition of learning to be with family and present and slow down. It taught us that we don't need to be at every single part of the transaction. Purchase and sales can now be done electronically. I might not have to be at the closing. It forced every entrepreneurial and non-entrepreneurial business to reinvent or to repackage what they do. And so if you never used technology before, except for a cell phone, what's the one thing that every restaurant forced every consumer to use in order to potentially eat and see their menu?
QR code.
QR code, baby. Remember back in the days when they were trying to launch a QR code, they're like, download this app, then do this, use this camera from the app. And then what did Apple and Samsung and Android do during a pandemic? Bloop. All of a sudden, technology, all of your phones had the ability on the camera to look at a QR code. That QR code goes and leads you somewhere. And you as the real estate agent have the ability to put them to anywhere that you want. Your website, a landing page, you could put them to Macy's.com. I don't care. You could be a personal trainer and it could go to your personal training site. But the power of a QR code is powerful, especially when capturing leads for an open house. So I challenge you to learn how to make a QR code, watch a YouTube video, it's 5 minutes, and probably direct it to your website or a landing page. So the KW app, there is an app built for every agent that you can share with people that you meet. Now, guess what? You could make a QR code that somebody could scan on the back of your business card that leads you to what? Your personalized KW app. Boom, download this. That's how cool a QR code is, okay? And so you have a KW app that if a client downloads that and they're interactive on it and they're using it, you're gonna see scarily the activity in which Hassani decided today I'm at the Cape and I just wanted to check out this house. So I used my app and it picked up because it's integrated satellite wise with all the homes through MLS and integration, that you're on this street and that there's actually 2 homes for sale and that one's under agreement and this one's available and here's the information about it. And I got a text message while I'm sitting on the beach up here in Salisbury that Hassani is playing house down at the Cape and looking for something. Now, am I gonna text Hassani and be like, I see you looking at that 3-bedroom, 2-bath? No. But that might be the time to properly engage at some point in the next 24 hours and say, hope all is well. Hope, are you still in the market for looking for anything? Has your wants and needs or location changed? I'd love the ability to have a conversation with you, like however you're going to engage. Okay. Huge and powerful, learn it. when I first got into real estate, my mentor had acronyms for everything. And ironically, I ended up at Keller Williams and we have acronyms for everything as well. And one of the acronyms I learned, two of them actually, was JAQ, just ask questions. So write that down in your participation guide. Just ask questions. The person that asks the most questions is always in control. The person that makes the most statements, you are not in control. You're talking past, you're talking over, you're talking under, you're losing the person, you're not bringing them into engaging. Nobody wants to be talked at unless you're teaching at 11 o'clock. No, I'm talking with you guys. So JAQ, just ask questions. And the other important one that I thought was important is CEDO, come into office, which means any clients that you can bring into your domain, into your home headquarters, kind of puts you into somewhat control in a real estate environment to meet with a buyer client or two, to go through the wants and needs process so that they will want to hire you. So the object was to always to try to get them into the office and then just to ask a bunch of questions. Remember, you're there to get leads and appointments. I mean, I'd like to add a 4.5 in there that says, remember, you're there to potentially what? Sell the property,
Right.
right? Sell that property. And then maybe 5, obviously, to try to capture leads. So to pursue, follow up and convert leads after an open house. Tony DeSella, I love him. He's in our company. Look him up. Nobody can outscript this guy. He's like the guru of real estate. I adore him. He always used to say that it's within the follow-up where business is lost. So there's so much opportunity in business loss when we don't follow up with people. And just think about that. It doesn't have to just be in real estate. It could be in anything. Let's say you saw something on Facebook Marketplace and you didn't follow up with that person because they said, is this still available? And you wrote yes. And then you didn't follow up with them. Up, they already bought the ping pong table from somebody else. Why? Did you think that they were just going to keep coming back to you if they wanted it? Maybe. But if you're in sales and if you wanted the money and you wanted the return of investment, then you're going to be reaching out to David saying, are you still interested? I can meet you from 3 to 5 today. I can help you move it. See, I was being purposeful, proactive, because I wanted to make the money or I wanted the sale. And so when the way that you follow up after an open house is important. If people have questions, answer them within 2 to 4 hours of the open house, if possible, depending on where you're getting the answer from. Maybe write a handwritten thank you and send it in the mail. That's the only thing that I open in my mail. My poor mailman, he sometimes has to deliver my mail from my mailbox. It gets so full because I'm like, there's nothing in there for me. And he's like, maybe. And so everything I pay online, I don't want to see advertisement to distract me. So, but I will open the handwritten card. Send an
Jamie?
email. Yes.
One other thing that I did that was really effective was,
Yeah.
so you have their phone number and email. What's most people are gonna do, they're gonna send an email with the information. If you take a video of yourself,
Yes.
answer their question, and you send the video in a text.
I love you. I love you, Gary. It's right here in my notes last night. I said, mention video.
Oh, cool.
Gary, you were very successful too with open houses. You have a great personality. It's natural for you. And I feel the same with me. I don't like seeing myself on video. That's why right now I'm really looking at the slides, but I'm not looking at me over here because I would probably be too critical. However, I also want to be creative. So I think it's kind of cool that if Asani had a question about something, what if I made a quick video and was like, hey, Asani, it's Jamie Camerata from today's 123 Main Street open house. I just wanted to get back to you that I did ask that question about this. The answer is this. If you have any other questions, this is my cell phone number. You can reach me at jmcamerata@gmail.com. I'd love the opportunity to continue to work with you and your family. If there's anything else that you need, please let me know. And listen, have a great day. If my personality was mirror and matching somewhat Hassani's, I'm really hoping that not only did I get the answer that he wanted, but he thought that that was kind of cool and personalized, more so than hiding behind a text or an email. So I love that. Video is very purposeful. If some of you are like, I'm not doing video, I'm okay with that too. But make sure you call, connect, email, and then follow up on Monday, follow up on Tuesday. You pretty much follow up until it's either dead, or they ask you to stop following up. Because life happens. Does it not? Life happens. And so you get a call from school that the child's sick, or this or that, but you wanted to get back to those answers about that house that's been sitting on the market for 60 days. I'm only going to be able to do that if, Ross Billings calls me on Wednesday and says, hey, it's just Ross again. Don't mean to be a pest. I just wanted to see if you were still interested in 123 Main Street. Oh my God, Ross, thank you so much for calling. I know I've been so crazy busy in my own world. Did you get that answer on this? Boom. Okay. So follow up, however you feel you want to. And reevaluate the goals that you set, and did you succeed? So putting that energy out there. Did I collect 2 to 5 leads? Yes. On a scale 1 to 10, did I collect a very qualified lead that I could turn into a dollar producing business? Yes. How should I connect and follow up with that person? Okay. And then what was I nervous of this time? Where did I not feel like I didn't perform well? And what would I change moving forward about my next opportunity when working or having an opportunity for an open house? All right, what questions do we have at this point? How are we feeling? Are we feeling overwhelmed, or are we feeling like a bunch of team leaders are going to be emailing me today like, oh my God, everybody wants an open house opportunity? Talk to me.
Jamie, we do have one question in here from Emily. Oh,
Yep.
nope, it's the other one, sorry. Somebody's looking to find out where they get the market information to send out articles about the market.
There's so many sites. I mean, you can go on to the MAR site, just type in capital MAR, Massachusetts Association Realtor. You can get tons of graphs and marketing there. You can screenshot the graphs, you can download the graphs, you can copy paste what they're saying about the graphs. Some market centers are pushing out graphs at shareholder meetings. If you can't find them there, you can go onto the National Association Realtor site. You can get graphs there. It just depends on specifically what you're looking for. So start with your market center, start with Google and Safari, then go back to your leadership team if it's something specific, because it could be just a video learning how to pull a stat from Broker Metrics or from MLS or something simple that we could probably help you with.
And that,
Okay, go ahead.
oh, we have a couple other questions too. Emily is asking, should you answer questions from buyers who said they are representative?
I would answer any questions that I know the answers to effectively sell the property, because that's my job. My job is to answer the questions so that the property gets sold. So even if Gary is working with the real estate agent, whatever knowledge I do have about the property that's in the firm remarks, the disclosures, the listing sheet, or the knowledge that I know that's beneficial, I would answer those. If they had other questions that were just more specific as to, do you think that they would take $650 for this house? Do you think that they would close in 30 days? I would say that is a great question for your real estate agent to reach out to David White, who's listing this property. I'll give you his contact information, because pen to paper, anything can happen. So I would definitely redirect your agent to reach out to David about anything offer related. So I think that that's what would happen. I do see it says, how does a broker open house work? Wait, how does a broker open house work? Okay. Broker open houses are done within your area. So for us in my area, we submit a new listing if we choose to put it on what's called broker open. Broker open means all of the real estate agents in the industry are open to kind of preview the home before the public or before other people, or all at the same time comfortably without clients attached to them. So it's only for them, it's for the real estate community. We submit ours by a certain time on a certain day. And then there's a point person that puts them together and sends out an informational piece on Monday to the agents representing the listing, saying, Jamie, we got yours. Your time slot's going to be between 9 and 9:30. We all know in the community they're between 9 and 12. So they throw mine in between 9 and 9:30. I let my seller know it's going to be on broker open. We have to keep the slot open from 9 to 12 because I don't know what I'll be assigned. I get my assignment. I tell the seller, I represent the property. I open the doors. A bunch of agents come through. And when they leave, it's usually 30 minutes open, believe it or not. And when they leave, I close up and hopefully they'll bring potential buyers because they're pre-qualifying the property. Every area is different. So if you're interested in broker opens and how to let somebody know that yours will be on it or how to do it, please talk to your market center. And David, thank you for being so patient. Go ahead.
Perhaps beyond the scope of this, but attaching videos either through email or through text. Lindsay and I tried it. We struggled a bit. Where could you lead us to?
I would love to answer this question because I do have some great answers to it. So let's do that offline. I invite everybody at 11:25 or so to stay on after non-recording for 5 minutes, and I'll get you the answers to what I think I would use for those as well. Does anybody have any question? Go ahead. Yes.
One more thing. So people are asking, where can you pull statistics and all that? MLS on their main page, their home page, has a very general Massachusetts quarterly market insight. It's under MLS Pin Resources. You just click on it and it tells you just basics, days on market, days to offer. It's right on the main page under resources called Quarterly Market Insights. And it's a very generic one that's kind of just really across the board of the state, but it kind of gives you an idea if you need something, just kind of do a general info.
And these are all great questions. Listen, I love the participation and I love these questions. It means that your mind is working and it means that you're trying to come up with the activities that you need to do to have the results that you want. So I do appreciate them, and there's going to be a lot. It's a very exciting time. There's a lot to learn. Again, I'll put my information in the chat. If you're not getting help currently at your market center at the time, maybe somebody's busy, if we're available, every market center wants to help. Gary's on here, Teresa's on here. They would say the same thing, whether you're Portland, Maine, Boston, or Andover, we do want to help you guys. So the ahas to achievement, we also want you to remember, we challenge you to participate in the student guide and just how is your thinking changed, right? If you were worried or had a mindset or about open houses, how has it changed now after learning some of the stuff that we talked about today? What ideas or mindset were new for you? And what you would like more elaboration on? If you write that down, that will help your business coach, productivity coach, team leader, accountability partner, mentor, whoever you have guiding you. What do you feel differently about, and what was meaningful to you today? That's another one. How will your behaviors be different going forward? Maybe some of you, it could be something small like, you know what? I'm going to print out the participation guide. That's a big one, but I'm telling you, it's a very important one because you're going to want these notes after. Or maybe it's, I'm going to turn my camera on in the next one. How will your behaviors be different? What actions will you take? And what tools, models, and systems will you use? And how will they make you accountable? So these are things to talk about. So for the next 5 or 6 minutes, I am going to reiterate that during the Ignite program, they, the creators have created the success system that you should be doing on your own. I have to say, nothing in entrepreneurial worlds is easy. Okay. Yes, I sold real estate for a couple of years. I did very well. Then I became a team leader. I learned how to do that. I opened up some restaurants in my hometown. I'm very entrepreneurial, and it takes a lot of work and self-discipline. If you do the foundational stuff now, this fall, and really tee yourself up to have success, it will happen. Don't try to cut corners. Don't try not to do the activities. This is a proven model. So we challenge you to have X amount of conversations per day in order for you to add X amount of contacts to your database, whether it's in Command or it's in your Rolodex, I don't care. And then challenge you to, implement or write so many handwritten notes, text messages, social media engagements, because if you're doing these activities, results will follow. Now, before the break, I challenged you and said, look at your phone and tell me how many contacts you had in there. So when we scrolled through our contacts, what were the numbers that we had in there?
I had 1,059. All right.
I'd like to take your phone, please. All right, we got 245, 220. Here's my challenge. And I said this at the value proposition on Thursday, but everyone in your phone was put into your phone saved for a reason. Now, some of you could challenge that and say, actually, an Excel sheet put them all in there or blah, blah, blah. I don't care. This quarter, go through your contacts. Why are you going to let somebody take up those gigabytes on that 5G network that we're all paying for if you're never going to talk to them, you're never going to call them, and you don't consider them a personal family friend or an affiliate? Bye, Felicia, you're out. Get them out of the contacts. Because the challenge is you're going to call every single contact. You're going to re-announce, by the way, I partner with Keller Williams. I got my real estate license. I'm doing really great. I've been challenged to, reach out to my database and remind them that I can help anyone sell, buy, invest, and rent in real estate. So let me ask you, who do you know? Are you currently looking? No, great. How's the family? Great. I need your help and support. Here's how you can help me. Boom, they give you a name. Here's how you can support me. Boom, give them an idea on how they can support you. Post this blurb on social media and tag me. Think about me when you hear real estate. I'm going to send you 25 business cards with your name on the back. If one of those cards come back to me because you referred my card out, I'm going to properly thank you, not with cash. I'm going to properly thank you for referring business my way and supporting me. Okay. When calling people that you don't know, I really do reiterate this. The do not call list, there are huge fines that are affiliated to you and your market center, your brokerage. We both get the fine. So when you go down, we're going down too. So we really promote this. If you're going to prospect and lead generate around those open houses that you're going to be working, not hosting, please do that. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. Take a screenshot of this. Read it every now and then. Use it as your phone saver. But when you're positive, when you're trying to bring the best that you're capable of, given the experience prior to in every single moment, people want to be a part of that. And so what you tell yourself and your mindset is extremely important through this process. So if you say I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution and people are happy to be in relationship with me, then guess what? People are going to be happy to be in conversation with you. If you walk around and you're like, nobody wants to talk to me, nothing's good going on, bad, we're having a different conversation. Make sense? All right, perfect. So we do have a few minutes here. I would like to hear from just two people, out of the, let's see, I'm gonna stop sharing now. Out of the 45 people that are on here, just 2 people that I've not heard from at all. Give me an aha or something positive, and then we can end our session. Then I didn't do my job. Don't be afraid. Here's the thing.
I'll do it.
I'll speak.
Okay, and who's that?
This is
Roland.
Roland.
Okay, Roland, before you go, here's another thing. You know, our company has this thing called Bold, and we talk about you know, how you present yourself. Like, so if you're nervous and scared now, I don't want you to be nervous and scared with the strangers and the people that you do know. So this group is going through Ignite. You're all going through it. You're all in the same boat. And so get to know each other, share, talk. It's only going to be more beneficial if you play full on. That's my opinion. But Michael, thank you. All right, so Roland.
Well, this is my first time logging